Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to talk about autistic girls and women. Imagine a student in your classroom. She sits quietly, follows instructions, makes eye contact, answers questions politely, and never causes disruption. By every visible measure, she is doing fine. But inside, she's being exhausted. She has spent every single minute of that lesson monitoring her own facial expressions, rehearsing what to say before she says it, suppressing the urge to move, copying the behavior of the girls around her, and performing a version of herself that the classroom finds acceptable. She is not fine. She is masking. And for millions of autistic girls and women around the world, this is not an occasional effort. It is a full time survival strategy, one that comes at a devastating cost. Today, we are going to talk about what masking is, why it happens, why girls are disproportionately affected, and most importantly, what teachers, parents, and schools can do to change this. So let's talk about what is masking. Masking, also called camouflaging, refers to the conscious or unconscious suppression of autistic traits in order to appear neurotypical, that is, to fit in what society considers normal social behavior. It can look like forcing eye contact even when it feels physically uncomfortable, scripting conversations in advance and rehearsing responses, copying the gestures, tone, and mannerism of peers, laughing at things that are not understood because others are laughing, performing interest, engagement, or emotion that is not genuinely felt in that moment. Research by Hull and colleagues, published in the journal Autism in 2017, identified these as consistent, recognizable strategies used by autistic people to navigate social environments. And they found that women reported using them significantly more than men. Here is the critical point. Masking is not a sign that someone is coping well. It is a sign that the environment has made autistic experience feel unsafe. You might be wondering, why are girls disproportionately affected by masking? The answer lies at the intersection of autism research, gender socialization, and diagnostic bias. For decades, autism research was conducted almost exclusively on male subjects. The result is that the diagnostic criteria we will use today were built around how autism presents in boys, often characterized by overt behavioral differences, intense focused interests in specific topics, and difficulties with social interaction that are visible and disruptive. Autistic girls frequently present differently. Their special interests may be socially acceptable animals, books, people, celebrities, and therefore go unnoticed. Their social difficulties are often more subtle, masked behind learned scripts and carefully observed imitation of peers. They are more likely to be described as shy, anxious, or sensitive rather than autistic. The consequence is profound. Autistic girls are diagnosed on average 4 to 8 years later than autistic boys. Many are never diagnosed at all. And in that gap, those years of going unrecognized and unsupported, they learn one lesson very clearly. The way I naturally am is not acceptable here. And so they hide. Dr. Sarah Cassidy's research at the University of Nottingham has shown that this late or missed diagnosis, combined with the chronic stress of masking, is directly associated with significantly higher rates of anxiety, depression, and in the most serious cases, suicidal ideation in autistic women. This is not a minor inconvenience. This is a public health issue sitting unrecognized inside our classrooms. Let us be very direct about what sustained masking does to a person. The cognitive and emotional labor of masking is immense. Autistic researcher and advocate Dr. Devon Price describes it as similar to performing in a play every single day while simultaneously directing it, writing the script, and managing the stage. There is no backstage, there is no break between performances. The consequences accumulate. Autistic girls who mask heavily experience what researchers call autistic burnout, a state of profound physical and mental exhaustion, often accompanied by loss of skills, withdrawal, and inability to function, triggered by the sustained effort of maintaining a neurotypical performance. Burnout is frequently misread by schools as laziness, teenage moodiness, school refusal, or depression. The student who was quietly coping suddenly stops coming to school, stops completing work, stops engaging, and the system responds with concern about motivation on mental health rather than recognizing that the environment itself produced the collapse. And here is what makes this particularly urgent for educators. By the time burnout is visible, the damage has already been done over months or years. Prevention requires us to look earlier and to look differently. So, what does this mean practically for teachers, school leaders, and parents? I want to offer five concrete evidence informed actions. First, train educators to recognize the female autism profile. Most teacher training programs still present autism through a male typical lens. Educators need specific training on how autism presents in girls. The subtle social difficulties, the intense people focused interest, the apparent compliance that conceals chronic stress. A girl who is quiet, polite, and seemingly engaged is not automatically fine. Number two, create genuinely low demand spaces. Every school day is saturated with social performance demands, assemblies, group work, unstructured break times, corridors between lessons. These are often the most exhausting environments for masking students. Designating quiet, low stimulation spaces where students can be alone, stim freely and decompress without social expectation is not a luxury. For many autistic girls, it is the difference between surviving the day and not. Number three, separate academic assessment from social performance. We frequently assess students in ways that conflate academic knowledge with social confidence, verbal presentations, group projects, spontaneous classroom contributions. These formats systematically disadvantage students who mask because the performance of participation is as exhausting as the academic content itself. Offering alternative assessment formats, written reflections, recorded responses, one to one discussions, give students the opportunity to demonstrate what they actually know. Number four, build psychological safety explicitly. Masking happens because students have learned that authenticity is penalized. Rebuilding safety means actively communicating through language, through policy, through daily practice. That difference is not just tolerated but genuinely welcomed. This includes normalizing stimming, not requiring eye contact, allowing movement, and never drawing public attention to a student's regulatory behaviors in front of peers. Number five, involve autistic women and girls in school policy. The most powerful thing a school can do is to ask the people most affected what they need and then act on the answer. This means consulting with autistic students, inviting autistic adult voices into staff training, and treating lived experiences as a legitimate form of expertise alongside clinical knowledge. If you are a parent watching this, there are three things I want you to hear. Number one, if your daughter seems fine at school but falls apart at home, that is not bad behavior. That is the cost of masking being paid in the only place she feels safe enough to put it down. The home meltdown after a seemingly good school day is one of the most commonly reported experiences of autistic girls. It is a sign of trust, not dysfunction. Second, if professionals keep telling you she does not present as autistic, push further. Seek assessors with specific experience in identifying autism in girls and women. A missed diagnosis does not mean the struggle is not real. Number three, tell her explicitly and repeatedly that who she is without the performance is not only acceptable but worthy of being known. Many autistic women spend decades believing the masked version is the only version other people can love. That belief begins and can end at home. We have built schools around a remarkably narrow idea of what a good student looks like: quiet compliance, social fluency, consistent performance, easy participation. And for students who can produce that appearance naturally, the system works reasonably well. But for the autistic girl in your classroom who's producing that appearance through sheer relentless effort, who goes home every day and collapses from the weight of having performed normality for 6 hours, the system is not working. It is extracting something from her that she cannot afford to keep giving. Unmasking is not about lowering standards. It is about building environments where students do not have to choose between being authentic and being educated. Every child deserves a classroom where they can learn as themselves. If this conversation is new to you, I would encourage you to explore the work of researchers like Dr. Sarah Cassidy, Dr. Devon Price, and Dr. Francisca Hebb, and to seek out the voices of autistic women themselves, because they have been saying all this for a long time. We just not been listening. We just, have not been listening carefully enough. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, share it with an educator. It might be the most useful 8 minutes they spent this week. Thank you.